Raquel is a highly skilled teacher, educator, lecturer, and writer, specializing in educational technology as it applies to English language teaching. With extensive experience working with teachers from diverse backgrounds, including language institutes, regular schools, and private instructors. Raquel's expertise spans both theoretical knowledge and practical application in various settings, whether online or face-to-face. She has shared her insights at numerous prestigious international ELT conferences, such as IATEFL, BBELT, BrazTESOL, and Google for Education events. In addition to her speaking engagements, Raquel has contributed her knowledge through her writings for CPD blog, The World of Better Learning, by Cambridge University Press. She is also a co-author of the Teachers Editions 1 and 2 of the English coursebook Evolve. Today, Raquel will be discussing the use of AI in exams preparation with Cambridge materials. In this session, she will explore how generative AI can significantly enhance your Cambridge exam preparation journey, helping both teachers and learners to personalize the learning experience, foster learning autonomy, and provide targeted, adaptable feedback. Raquel will connect the latest research on generative AI tools in educational settings with Cambridge's expertise in exam preparation, offering practical guidance to achieve your exam goals. Please join me in welcoming Raquel Ribeiro. Welcome, Raquel.
Thank you, Pilar, for introducing me to the audience. Thanks, everyone joining. And I invite you for this journey where we get to understand important pillars of generative AI, considering the educational scenario of language teaching, because this is our very field of expertise here. And that's why I have named the session Use of AI. So I'm going to show you examples and the solid basis that teachers need to follow, but also along with the preparation for Cambridge exams. It is so important to consider that when it comes to the use of generative AI, everyone has more questions than answers, and questions move the world forward. So I invite you, please, to interact in the chat. I'll try to keep up as much as possible, but we have a whole team here giving support. And then I also invite you to make sure you have your mobile phones with you, because we will take turns from the perspective of a teacher planning a class and from the perspective of a student. So let's get going. The concept of artificial intelligence, just simply putting that, is this technology that allows things to be done in a way that is similar to the humans, not the same. And something really key, and it's been a question so far, is generative AI going to take over? Well, we need to make our efforts to adjust and to learn how to employ that rather than do everything using generative AI. And that's my idea. The pillars of the teacher, who has the informed decisions to take, the students' participation, and of course, the technology as a tool. Two concepts that I really need to share with you. AI needs to support the development of learning, support, not take over, as well as the acquisition of knowledge and skills. There are so many demands in the world, and our students join us at schools or in private lessons because they need to learn the most important foreign language for communication. And nowadays, that comes along with the acquisition of skills as well that go beyond that. The communicative approach to language acquisition is really key and so important to enhance the learning experience. And it's so important to have the students and the teachers in collaboration. This is really, really key. I would like to share with you this support that give us perspective on the informed decisions we need to take as teachers. There is a need of professional development, and that's why you are attending a talk and a conference like this with so many perspectives. And I congratulate you on that because this has helped me pave the way throughout the years, especially in the past years with generative AI. But also to use that in a way that students can take part and not only on the backstage of class preparation. So, according to the OECD, there is this guidance here for effective and equitable use. And we know that more often than not, and this is possibly what happens, we haven't got classes with available equipment and very stable internet connections. So, what I bring you here are things that can be used within challenging circumstances, like having one mobile phone for 4 students, for example, and internet connectivity that is not that stable. We need to take into consideration what is feasible in a real classroom scenario. And I bring this reflection for us in the sense of teacher agency and professional learning. And this is really, really key. We need to be in a position looking for knowledge and choosing what works for the perspective we want to teach. We don't have to be the best, the most tech savvy. And if you have this idea that, oh, I'm not sure, I'm not into technology, what if something goes wrong? If you have those questions in mind, which are very valid, I invite you to just give it a chance and realize that informed decisions with a communicative learning purpose for our students can be used and that we support each other as a community. In this citation, I would like to highlight the point here that the continuous professional learning opportunities and professional collaboration is key. Recognizing the importance of teacher agency. So, how is it that while teaching, and this is very much part of our job, can our students realize that if in a certain class or another, there is integration with artificial intelligence, with the generative kind of artificial intelligence, the teacher is agent there and is working and guiding them. It is important to consider our leadership as teachers, as educators. And of course, we cannot forget that we need to keep this critical use of digital learning resources and outputs and include our learners in this journey. I'm going to share with you a citation here in the chat that can be very helpful for us while thinking about it, because I understand there is a moment in the presentations that we need to keep in mind the concepts, the grounds for the informed decisions we need to take. So I'm sharing here in the chat another important citation and important hashtags to help us. So if you share something on the internet and you use one of those hashtags, it's going to be easier to be found or vice versa. All right, this is so important to consider. Moving along here, considering the contexts of classrooms, the most popular generative AI tools, which are available for free and that can be browser-based to use, or you can download an app, are the ones I'm presenting here. So ChatGPT, let's say the very first one, Gemini, the evolution for BART, and Copilot. I have been working with speech recognition systems because the very nature of learning a foreign language is connected with the intelligibility of discourse, pronunciation, so that communication happens, so that we can actually voice and understand and be understood. There are two major natures of artificial intelligence. One of the names, the simple one that, let's say, 2018, 2019 is the one we started using, was more like a conversational, responsive AI. And the examples are Google Assistant and Alexa. So there is a simple command, and from that command, you receive a reply, and that would be it. Another possibility there is, which is the possibility that we actually have been using a lot more nowadays, is this most challenging one, which is the generative or text-based AI. This is the one that develops further and that generate content based on a variety of inputs that might be text, an image, an animation, possibilities. And you have watched the sessions before and you already have an idea in that sense. The first example I'm going to show here, it's an example of integration in the context of teaching children. There are exams for children also in the Cambridge suite of exams. And there are some difficulties to understand how is it that we can integrate some sort of guided and short productive interaction with the artificial intelligence for the little ones. So let me give you some more context. This group, 9-year-olds, there was only my phone in classroom, of course. And we were studying. Our lesson.
What time is it?
Was about the time, as you can see here. And they were not aware of the fact that there are different time zones. Look, 9-year-olds, totally possible. So I understood that would be a good way to show, okay, let's ask and see if all the places have the same time. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate this a little bit.
In Nairobi.
The time in Nairobi, Kenya, is 4:29 p.m.
What's the time?
4:39 p.m.
PM means?
Afternoon.
Right. And where is Nairobi?
Kenya.
That's right.
What time is it in Beijing?
The time in Beijing, China, is 9:30 p.m.
9:30 p.m.
PM here means?
Night.
And where is Beijing?
China.
All right. So they were, of course, behind the scenes. Everyone had a chance to ask a question. And we had, of course, an agreement. They would have to pay attention, repeat, and I would ask questions. So this is a very simple usage. And this somehow is connected if you think of exams for the little ones. We can also consider the context of exams for elementary level students, the key Cambridge exam for pre-intermediate levels, for example. So there are guided questions and, of course, the supervision of the teacher. I would like to ask you now, there's this balloon in yellow. Can you think and please type in the chat Other possible questions that students would need to answer in an exam for children, like starters or movers or flyers, or any other question that relates, like the time, what time is it, in the context of the little ones. Lovely, there's a reply. How's the weather? This is a winning question. So, how is the weather in? Give it a try for elementary levels, for children. Yeah? There's the role playing is coming on. What season is it in? Exactly. You know, things that are about the knowledge of history, geography, information about sports, how old is a celebrity. We could go on, and I would appreciate it if you keep typing. It's so important to follow that. But when we think of integration for the Cambridge exams that go further, so we think of the preliminary, or we think of Cambridge first, or the advanced, you know, so then this approach expands. So what I'm going to show you now, there are other questions coming. Who invented? Lovely. The nationality, it's amazing. You see, we are the ones who understand the best question and the best guidance, the prompting part. The next thing, one of the aspects that get questioned a lot is in the sense, okay, so I need to create an AI-based class, so it's extra overload of work? Not really. We need to look at generative AI as one part of the practice, or maybe one part of a warmer activity to expand vocabulary. Could go on, but let me focus on this aspect first. Second, you focus your energy in this moment of class preparation to consider what your learners are going to interact with this artificial intelligence. It's going to save you time from preparing, for example, slides and handouts, also things that need a lot of our energy. Well, what I'm bringing here, it's a group of teenagers in between 14 to 16. Then in this context, we have a bigger number of mobile devices available, considering their ages, and the BYOD approach. I would appreciate it if somebody could write out the meaning of BYD in case, just to make sure everybody knows, all right? Exactly. I'm checking your comments here, and that's why teachers are needed. We are the ones to regulate these interactions so that it's productive. Amazing. Keep the questions coming. I really appreciate that. So in this part right now, because the students, they are slightly older and on a mobile phone, we are going to see the use of generative AI. ChatGPT and Gemini, most popular ones, but there are other possibilities as well. Let's watch.
What are the main leadership characteristics that millennials present? Tell me in 2 paragraphs.
I'll just interrupt a little bit here. There are certain questions connected to the lessons that are really challenging for our learners. So, a proficiency level, the theme of leadership, and the audience is in between 14 and 16-year-olds. So, this is a clever moment to interact with the generative AI because they are going to choose what they consider important, maybe things they don't agree with, at least in the first phase of the activity. And also, I always recommend encouraging the learners to speak rather than type so that the intelligibility can also be tested, although we cannot really judge because there are other factors that might interfere when we consider interacting with machines.
What are the main leadership characteristics that millennials present? Tell me in 2 paragraphs.
Fazer por Corinthians. Oh, okay. Oh, you can edit.
They ask the questions, then the answer is coming.
Meu Deus do céu. Just give like a lot of paragraphs.
Like in the very first moment back in 2023.
2 huge paragraphs.
All right. So we have students working in groups.
What are the main leadership?
And one helps the other. And this is so important because the ones who are shy get to listen, or maybe if somebody needs slightly longer time, they can work with that. And this is so important. Let's keep moving here. So when we consider the English exams, and we are familiar with that, this, for example, is one possibility to prepare for a question. How can you develop your answers and go beyond a very, very small range of words? Because, you know, there's a double challenge here. There's the challenge of the theme and their age range, and the challenge that it is a foreign language. But then I decided to go slightly beyond that and prompt the generative AI to see if we can actually have an interaction. And for that, I considered the preliminary B1 preliminary Cambridge exam. First thing we do is to actually explain the exam, what it stands for, and the levels and everything, so the students can understand the relevance. The next thing, as a teacher, good point. There are some questions, all right? I'll save these questions to the end, okay? In the panel, if you can save this question, I appreciate that because it's very relevant. All right. So now I'd like to share with you the teacher's perspective of planning an activity. So I will invite you now to get your phones and scan this QR code. Just like that, and then follow the link. If it's not possible for you, I'll be sharing a link in the chat, so you can do it that way as well. But I really want to encourage you to open and to click in a small icon that represents the sound. Let's try that. And meanwhile, I'm also going to get the link so I can share here in the comments for the ones who are not able to scan. All right? Let me get it here. The reason why it is important to double check beforehand is to see if the answer is appropriate, to understand if that prompt will be actually leading or misleading the lesson. So in case you can't scan, I've just shared in the comments the link, all right? And what I need from you is, you know, when you click, the very first thing that will appear is this. Please give me some questions on the topic of health for teenagers based on the B1 preliminary English test by Cambridge Part 2. You could, of course, say a lot more, but this simple prompt has given me possibilities to work with. And I would like you to, if possible, to test in your phones like this. You click on the icon.
You and your friend are discussing ways to get more sleep. Imagine you are writing a short message to your friend suggesting 2 healthy habits that can improve sleep.
So I've got the situations here. This is one step, okay? Can you please tell me in the chat if you were able to actually scan with the QR codes and listen? I would appreciate having that. Of course, if it's not possible, the link I shared with you in the comments took you here. This was the prompt I asked, and this was the reply. What I usually ask my students and what I do myself, I click here.
1. You and your friend are discussing ways to get more sleep. Imagine you are writing a short message to your friend suggesting 2 healthy habits that can improve sleep quality.
And we keep going. So this is one possibility, all right? Thank you for letting me know here. Oh, a person that can't, maybe. I will try something else, okay? And I will share here for our next step. This actually may happen, you know, that we propose a link or we propose one of the GPTs and we don't actually get 100% of the students to access. So if it happens, collaboration is key, all right? It's important to know that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we are always going to collaborate. Thanks for letting me know. We are going to try something else now. The prompt wants the students to actually interact by listening to the questions, replying, and getting a comment from ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot. So this prompt now is different. As you scan it, please give it a try, the ones who can, you will realize this is not a link anymore. This is text. I'm going to post in the chat as well. So what I'm doing here is actually to invite you to use this text that is ready, copy exactly what I'm typing here, maybe ChatGPT or in Gemini or Copilot, and let's see if that works. Also, I would really, really appreciate it if you let me know in case you are using ChatGPT or if you are using any other possibility of generative AI. So if you copy from the chat or from the QR code, what I need from you is the following. Okay, you have access to this here. So you are going to select everything, copy, go, for example, to Gemini or to ChatGPT, and let's see if it works. So in my case, what I'm doing here, I'm opening Gemini, and I'm going to paste exactly this message. All right, so I copied the message and now I opened Gemini. Okay, but you can open ChatGPT. It's totally up to you. Now I'm going to paste the message I copied and play. All right, and then I'm going to test how it reacts by clicking on the button to listen.
Part 4 of B1 preliminary with these 3 questions. You, as the examiner. Question 1. What do you do when you want to relax? Why?
When I want to relax, I try to go out for a walk or listen to music. It keeps going. I would like to understand if it is working or not. Okay, it's important to understand that. This is what happens with the learners. So, as a teacher, the perspective of being a teacher, I come up with a prompt which I believe connects to the lesson. Then I test drive this prompt with my mobile phone. That is, let's say, the most difficult scenario. When I think, okay, the output is all right, then I share that. In my case, I use Google Classroom, but there are other ways you can share with your students in a shared document, email, messenger. And then the students copy the prompt so they can be more active in the process as well. The combination here is not to waste time by having the learners elaborate the prompt because our time is short, but guiding them. Our next step, I'm going to show not how it worked for me, but how it worked for one of the students during the class.
Sounds fun. Let's act out this part of the exam. Sounds fun. Let's act out this part of the exam. I'll ask you the questions and listen carefully to your answers. Remember, there are no wrong answers here. I just want to hear about your preferences and thoughts. All right, first question. What do you do when you want to relax? Why?
When I want to relax, I talk with my friends. They are so cool.
That sounds like a great way to unwind. Spending time with friends can be a lot of fun and a good way to distress. Is there anything specific you enjoy doing with them that helps you relax?
So you see, there is this micro interaction that resembles the questions they are going to be asked in a Cambridge exam that corresponds to their levels. And if you observe, they get to read the answers as well. So that's an important step towards building their confidence with listening, with speaking, with the pronunciation, with the way the sound is linked in English.
Sure, let's get started. 1. What do you do when you want to relax?
When I want to relax, I read some books and play some music.
That sounds like a...
These are very quick examples of the learners using, and it created a YouTube video. Oh, for assessing the speaking skills. That's why it's important to test the prompt, because maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. We have to double check. The next one here, it's a link that will take us to Gemini again. This is the one that has been working best, okay? This is one suggestion, but there are others, and I would like to also share with you the fact I've been using with my learners. Another possibility, which is Copilot. So you can try the same questions and type in Copilot. I invite you to do that. Everything is a little bit of trial and error. There are some factors that may interfere, so I opened here. It's possible to use the app as well. Personally, I think that using the app with Copilot works much better, really, really much, much better than actually using the browser-based version. The browser-based version is going to take some time to load. And when you think of the app, this is going to go faster. So it's a possibility. I'd like to end this because, okay, so there are questions that I can use from the previous exams, maybe 1, 2 questions to get started, and then the learners get a simple interaction and try it out. First class, maybe slightly wonky, but it will get better because we learn. And do not underestimate the learning curve. Give yourself this chance, give your students this chance. It's possibly not going to be brilliant the first time, but it's going to be great as well. But we need to be aware that the GPT does not understand the text that it generates. And if it happens that they generate incorrect statements, we need to teach our learners to double check the information. So the first step is, of course, carry out this, paste, see the answer, interact. Depending on the subject, you can guide your learners. Okay, choose the things you consider important, but let's double check in a trustworthy website. This is really key. It's digital citizenship as well. We need to take a critical approach to everything. So in this example of a typical exam question to get started, part 1 or maybe part 2, this is not going to be an issue. But depending on the prompt that you create, this might. So let's be aware of that. There might be hallucinations, which means that when the AI hallucinates, it produces false information. So we also need to make this very clear to learners. What I usually do to conclude our session here, I go to the board and I build a path along with my learners. Like, okay, so what was the theme? Let's use a generative AI. Which one do you prefer? I give them a choice. All right, once that is done, that you speak and then you get to obtain the output, which is the key info? Let's get together, pairs, trios. This particular activity, I went further with a slide presentation creation, but we usually go to this step of double checking the content. Is this output trustworthy? It depends. It depends on the theme. Conversational AI, as shown in the very beginning of the session, very suitable for elementary starters. And the generative AI, which is slightly more complex, for B1, B2 levels onwards. But it's not a rule, like it all depends on the prompts you create. I've been integrating these to some classes very steadily since 2023 in the very beginning. And before that, I used to use the Google Assistant conversational AI in a simpler way as well. I conducted a very simple search in the end. And there are interesting views from the students. I don't know who wrote it, but some things that I would like to share with you. We searched by our own, really like how we are free to search. They didn't perceive that as, oh, the teacher is somehow guiding us here. But there is, instead of me, the teacher, doing everything, researching everything, and just giving them the ready output, I'm giving them a chance to be part of the process. This human interaction is what saves us in terms of our work, this mediation. Another very interesting comment that they were able to create PowerPoint slides. I just used this in the possibility in the end of the level. And discuss important issues in society, where you actually do some research and know something important to say. Another point I'd like to highlight, we had a conversation with ChatGPT. Listen to our questions. Google Bard, because I was using it back then. We could learn more than we did without the AI, because it facilitates our searches, but check this out, it can hallucinate for we double-checked the answer, and it keeps going. So every time I asked them, I made it clear that there are inconsistencies. I would like to conclude here with some points that are very, very key for all of us. We need to review the competencies needed by us teachers, not only to understand, but also to use, to be this bridge connecting and also guiding while teaching. We integrate, we get to understand some tech skills, and this develops the digital literacy for us and for our learners. And it's important, and major players are working very strongly on the competency frameworks and programs, not only for the training in service, pre-service, but also for the in-service. UNESCO has been doing a great work in this sense, uniting forces from all over the globe. Cambridge has been working very, very intensely in our field of English language teaching. I would like to also share with you that I'm traveling to the UNESCO conference in UNESCO headquarters tomorrow in Paris, along with Evelina Galatsky. We presented webinars together for Cambridge, and working with this in the capacity of research and in the capacity of applying to the classroom. So lots of things that we need to take into consideration. As a teacher who is in an online setting or in in-person settings as well, I have learned that blending knowledge, creativity, guided interaction can enhance our students' language learning experience. And I invite you, and I would like to hear in the chat here, if you have questions or if you tried out one of the suggestions. This is super, super quick, but it's so important to have this perspective. I'm going to leave in the chat here these links. If you probably know these links and you have tried them before, I'd like to ask the panelists who are helping me here if there is time to answer one of the questions that I did not in the very beginning, but I would like to. Is there time?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. I'm sharing here in the comments a digital mock by Cambridge. This link is great because lots of things are ready for us teachers. And I would like to go back to the question asked in terms of if it's possible to use that with children, if we have to ask parents permission. The thing is, what I have learned and I recommend is that we do not have the children manipulate the technology and prompts and anything like that. It's only one short activity supervised by the teacher, organized, because if you work with children, you know, classroom management is really key. and there must be a purpose. What I did is I sent this to the parents and I explained, okay, we had this activity, the students asked those questions, and because we were studying. So every time I do any sort of integration, it's one device. There's a very connected usage to the lesson. I have tested that before, and I tell the parents. In the case of this footage, I didn't show the faces, I didn't expose the students. When I sent it to the parents, they could guess who their child was because of the voices, and that was so sweet. Do the schools have AI guidelines? I don't really think there is anything decisive right now. Even UNESCO has one sort of guidance that is still going to be advanced now in September next week. And what I have seen so far is that the institutions, they have started working on that, but they don't really have like, okay, that's precisely it that we are going to do or not. I'd like to know if there is any other question you would like to ask. If you have tried something similar. Because, you know, I'm looking here for something to share with you, which is this guidance from UNESCO, which is still a preliminary guidance. I'm going to add here in the chat, okay? And let me just find. This is so important to keep in mind because, you know, in the end, we are the ones mediating this usage of the technology. We are the ones who are actually guiding our students. So there is a level of professional development that we need. And there is a level that we need to judge. How far can the students go on that? Let me share with you the link I'm talking about before we go. And this from UNESCO, again, it gives the perspective from the students and the perspective from the teachers. This is called digital CPD. And this is not yet something that is, I'm going to do something here. Let's see if I can project this for us. It's going to be better. Okay, and I'm projecting here so you can scan. There's a chance you have come across that. Here it is. There are comments. Let me check the comments, okay? Yeah, it is really broad. That's why I believe that now in the second edition of the Digital Learning Week conference, lots of classroom-related practices, this is possibly going to evolve to something that is more specific. But you know, in the beginning when I shared with you the links, the hashtags actually, I would like you to consider joining your voices if you have a question to ask, if there is something you consider important. The hashtags put us there in the game. Thank you so much for your attention, for your patience. And this is where the QR code takes you to. That is called, it's a draft still, competency frameworks. Thank you so very much for listening to me.
been a great presentation, and thank you very much for sharing all that information with us. I would like to thank also to Gabriel Said and Al Denton as well for their great presentations today. So our first day of presentations for the 5th conference on bilingual education ends here. I hope you have enjoyed it and found it useful. We will continue tomorrow, starting at 9 o'clock with a presentation by Claire Ross from Cambridge on what do English language teachers need to know about Gen AI. Today's presentation will be available in the coming days on the conference YouTube channel, and you will receive the link shortly and also your certificate of participation in the coming days. We hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.